All right, so welcome to my first recording of something I wanted to try. Basically, I had the thought to play through Baldur's Gate 3 in such a way that each character focused on their own specific elemental damage type. So, like, for example, you'd have your own character being like Thunder type, Karlach being Fire type, Will being Cold type, Gale being Lightning type, etc. So I figured I would go over something today and show you what I found in terms of research. When I looked up the number of spells that belong to certain elements, I wrote them all down and added them up. Where I noticed that, like, bards, in theory, where is it at? There he is. Bards, in theory, would be the way to do this. I am using a save game where everyone's level 12. This is my bard. You'll see him in a second. Basically, I modeled him
What now?
after Isaac Perlman, best violinist in the universe, or at least of the 20th century, in my opinion. But you know, there's different opinions. I try to make him look like him as much as possible. Being a dwarf, no, I'm not trying to make any sort of insult towards Isaac Perlman. He's like an amazing violinist. I definitely recommend his 2 CD album set that you can find used of him playing with, I think it was like the Chicago Philharmonic, like all of the Mozart violin concertos in the world. They're amazing. I'm just going to say it right now, they are absolutely amazing. So I'd recommend checking that out. But anyway, I'm using that because I wanted to look at something.
Fate. Dost thou require a new as thou did?
Yeah. So, here's the thing that's interesting about this. At first, I thought Bard was the way to go. But of the fire spells that you get with Bard, the problem is most of them, almost all of them in fact you can see right here, there's no fire spells even starting out. Let's say I wanted to make him the fire guy. There's almost no spells that Bards have for fire outside of the magical secrets. So you'd end up being a lore bard. You'd need, like, you know, some sort of proficiency in armor because you're going to be really, really squishy. And so I thought to myself, what would be the most optimized way to take a character and just make them, like, fully maxed out in terms of, like, just running as high of a number of fire spells as possible. At first I thought the better solution would be sorcerer, because you get ones, like, even 2 of them starting off, right? 2 of them. You can do these 2. You can also do the cantrips over here, which is fire cantrip, right? I found in my studies, though, when I tried to do this, that you run into a certain problem, and that is that bards, they only get 4 opportunities, or 4 spells really, in the 2 different magical secrets opportunities. So you might think that you're getting enough fire spells, but you're not, because you're only getting like maybe 4 of them at most. So I thought to myself, what's the way to maximize just getting the ton of fire spells, right? So I'm going to show you something that I did, and I'm going to say right now that this is one of those things where, like, I'm going to make this character into something you should probably not choose to do unless you're intentionally doing it for a specific reason. It's probably not going to be very good. So I'm going to start off with Life Domain Cleric, because I'm thinking if you start off the game, you're going to want to have at least some sort of armor class at the beginning, especially in honor mode, because you're going to get your butt kicked. It's tough. So having access to armor is really good. You'll have medium armor, and that's enough to take you through the whole game. Sort of like a swords bard in a way, but you're a cleric. But then here you got this, Burning Hands. This spell is perfect for first level. I'm going to say Lathander. So I'm going to breeze through this and show you basically how I would do it. And I'm not saying you should configure your character this way. I'm doing it in a way that's, like, not optimized, but you'll see what I mean in a second. So I'm going to choose Wizard. When I did this with a Sorcerer, you still didn't get a lot of fire spells. And there's 2, for example, also there's 2 spells, the Conjure spells of Conjure Minor Elemental and Conjure Elemental, that deal with fire in the sense that you can conjure fire elementals, so those should be included as fire spells. Basically, how do I get this guy to be as maxed out for fire as possible? So, actually, I should put that there. That might work. But anyway, whatever. Actually, You're not going to play a character like this, I get it, but still. So I'm intentionally taking Cleric for armor and Burning Hands at first level, and then I'm going to show you how to optimize all the rest of your spells just for Wizard. The point of this is you're doing something silly, but you're doing it intentionally to get all the fire spells you can, because I'm assuming you're playing the game through where you're trying to get all of the equipment that goes with it. Does that make sense? So anyway, so we're going to get our Wizard subclass. We got our Fireball spell at the beginning. I'm just going to add random spells to this and take the fire ones. So I made sure, sometimes it glitches, but I made sure that Burning Hands was there if you're a Cleric. At the beginning of the game, I'm probably going to want Shield just because of that. This has fire options, Chromatic Orb does, so I would recommend doing that. And then for the rest of the stuff, I'm just going to like throw random crap in here. This is not how you'd play the game. So probably like, yeah, whatever. Alright, so then you get you're going to get 2 feats along the way. I'm going to take evocations so that I can try not to harm other people while I'm doing this crap. Where's it at? Yeah, Sculpt spells. Basically everyone automatically wins their saving throws. There's not really any spells to learn that are fire-based, so I'm just going to throw random crap in here. Yeah, I don't have really anything. Probably rather have sleep. Alright, so then this one, I don't think you get Flaming Spear with anything except maybe Druid, but Druids get so few fire spells that it's not worth the multi-class just to get Flaming Spear. It's a good little spell, it really is. I like having it, especially when enemies decide that they want to try to kill the Flaming Spear, which is really dumb because it just kills them instead. But anyway, so like, okay, whatever. It doesn't matter because I'm not going to really play a game like this, but what I'm showing you is how do you get the maximum number of fire spells. Alright, nothing in here that says fire. By the way, don't use friends in higher difficulties other than basic because like people get pissed off that you're manipulating them mentally. I'm going to take this one and this one because there's not really any fire spells available. I could double up on Burning Hands, but that's just silly, honestly. Usually you don't need to cast that one very many times. So yeah, basically those are good enough, right? I'm going to choose Blindness because that's helpful to beat a certain minor boss. I'm not going to tell you who. Alright, now as a wizard, the number of spells I can get is dependent on intelligence. At this point, I'm going to be fine. What I'm actually going to do is go over here and do something sneaky. I'm going to add Warlock, and I'm only going to add Warlock because I want Hellish Rebuke. You can't really get it any other way. It's sort of silly, but again, I'm trying to maximize all the fires that could possibly exist, right? So now I'm going to get this. Fireball is probably one of the best spells in the game. And I'm going to get Haste because, actually no, hold on. Glyph of Warding has a fire type, so I'm going to take that. I'm going to prepare those. Whatever. So I have all the fire spells there. Then I'm going to go over here in Wizard still, and I'm going to choose some survival options like Haste and Counterspell because I don't see any fire options here. Let me see here. I'm probably going to take that. I like Counterspell better than Hold Person, believe it or not. Alright, so I'm still progressing down the wizard path. Minor Elemental, the Azer type, is a fire type. And then there's also Wall of Fire. There's also Fire Shield. So I'm going to pick that one up in a second. Let's see, so I'm going to get rid of those because I don't care. Again, not a balanced character. You're making a glass cannon intentionally, and then there's Fire Shield. What else would I do? Probably, well, yeah, whatever. I'm not trying to stall. Fire, wrap your body in flames. Yep, kick some butt. That way they don't get near you anyway. And if they hit you even when you got that, if they hit you even when you have Fire Shield, you should also get Hellish Rebuke. So basically you just like incinerate them at some point. The Myconids in the Underdark are actually vulnerable to fire if I remember correctly. Okay, so now you look through the magic initiates, there's nothing else that offers really any fire, right? I don't need Initiate Cleric, but I'm just pointing it out so you can see there's really nothing Druid Initiate helps with, Sorcerer Initiate, and I'm already a Wizard, so I'm going to go over here, Ability Improvement, I'm going to add to my Intelligence score. I can't remember if that controls how many spells you can learn or how many spells you can have prepared, but whatever, I'll do that later. Conjure Elemental, there's a fire type, so I'm taking that. Might as well do Hold Monster, why not? Now I'm going to go over here. I don't have any other cantrips that I really want, so I really don't care. I mean, there are some useful ones. I'm just skipping through this so that you can, so I can get through the video fast as I can, so you can have your life back. Alright, Telekinesis, because I like throwing people off of cliffs. Resilient Sphere, no. There's really not any other fire spells in here at this point, so that's a tough one. Maybe some Banishment, whatever. But there's no other fire spells that aren't in my stuff. And then the final level, I'm going to use Arcane Lock just because there's I should have picked it earlier, but there's some specific baddie in Act 1. I'm not going to spoil it, but you can basically, like, you know, shut them down with Arcane Lock. And that's basically it. So I don't know what else to pick. Maybe Irresistible Dance or whatever, who cares? Right? So making sure I have all my fire spells in here. And I do. That's basically the best I can do. I think that was better. But anyway. So here we go. So what is the result? Let's look at this. Alright. So if you wanted nothing but fire spells, here's what you end up with. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because there's a fire type, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 fire spells at your disposal. In fact, I may have forgotten to look at one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Actually 11, yeah. You have 11 ones in here that you can use to do fire stuff. So then you can get all the fire armors and weapons and things and try to, like, proc the fire stuff. But anyway, that's basically how you would do that. So yeah, this guy's got a lot of fire options. I'm going to go ahead and close the video, but yeah. So that's basically how you would do it. If you wanted to just do nothing but fire spells and turn your character into a glass cannon, have a great day. Thanks for watching.